Well, here we go. It's that time of week again. Grab your boards. We're going to go out and swim into the world of nonprofit boards. Yeah, we're going to talk about those kind of boards with a woman who seems to know a lot of them here in Orange County. Welcome, Nelma Maddox.
Thank you, Paul. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Since I saw you a month ago, Kyle's lung collapsed. So
I didn't know if you wanted to go into that or
no,
not.
just real quick. I wish him well on his drive to Miami. He cannot fly because apparently when you collapse a lung, you're not allowed to fly or scuba dive or get in a submarine.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, we wish him luck on his
Glad
drive.
to know that, yeah.
Day one, flat tire in Kingman, Arizona. So we just wish him well getting out there. He just needs to be there before the 24th.
But
okay.
Part of the process.
But he's better.
Yes.
He's better.
I brought him up because he is one of the reasons why Carol and Mike and I know one another. It is through DJAMs and through the elementary schools and just being in the community. It is very hard not to run into Carol or Mike Caito doing something for the community and giving back. And so that's why we're all here today. I said we're just going to have a casual conversation. We're going to catch up like old friends. I do run into you in a lot of places, doing all the beautiful work you guys do. So we're going to start with Carol.
Yes.
Because Carol and I met actually in a couple different ways, but mainly because, how do you remember it? How do you remember how we met?
I think it was Nicole Hensley that had us together doing the sex education with all the boys.
That's so great. I did not expect you to say that. That's hilarious.
Boy.
That's appropriate, though. I think it was maybe even also blended into some Lion's Heart events and things like that. We may have had a couple at your house
Yes.
as well.
Yeah,
We're
we did
packing,
that. Yeah.
That's right.
packing
yeah.
bags for the unhoused shelter that's in
Right.
Laguna.
Yeah.
So many things. But then also fast forward, it turns out your nephew, who we were talking before the show started. How many nephews and nieces do you have?
I have 16.
Okay, so you have 16 nephews and nieces. One of them was Kyle's little basketball coach.
Right.
Yeah.
So 4 of them actually played D1 basketball, and Andrew was one of them that coached in the community after college. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we also ran into him at golf. Okay, so Michael Caito, you have just a reputation that precedes you. Please tell me a little bit about. Well, I'm jumping around a lot.
That's
The
okay.
reason why I do this show, guys, is because I happened into boards. I basically got corralled into boards by what is called steering committees. Yeah. So I don't know if you're a part of that, where you steer the people that you want to come in and do the work.
It's what we do every day as parents, isn't it?
Yes, but you also have, of course, I was not going to say your better half, but you would also be the first to say your better half, who also is the one who helps you be an amazing frontman. So tell me a little bit about the entrepreneurship global board that you're on. I know I'm butchering it. Can you please tell me a little bit about that?
That's okay. I realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur in college.
Okay, tell me more.
And so my brother and his best friend came to me with an idea when we were at Cal State Fullerton to start a food delivery company. So think Grubhub, DoorDash,
Yep.
Uber Eats. But this was 1993, before the internet and before mobile technology. So we didn't know what we didn't know, and we were in school, and we started the business, and we got a little traction. We had to drop out of college, and we started building this company, and then the internet came and mobile came, and we had to adapt to that. And then we brought in some people to help us understand how to actually build a company. And then we bought companies and kept growing, and then we sold it to Grubhub 10 years ago. So when they were freshly public,
Right.
When DoorDash was coming on the scene. So always been an entrepreneur. Now we have a different company. But along the way, the best decision I made was someone had introduced me to an organization called the Entrepreneurs Organization.
Okay.
And there's another one called YPO. I'm in both. And they're peer groups of CEOs and founders and entrepreneurs from around the world.
Okay.
And it's a no solicitation, confidential environment where you get together for events to learn from each other and from speakers, but also you get together in a forum. And so, but it's member led and it's chapter based around the world. So as I joined it, I started, you got to volunteer. So I volunteered and I got on the local board. Next thing you know, we're doing work at the regional level. Next thing you know, it's like we're starting to work on things around the world. And then I was asked to be the global chairman of the organization. So for 3 years, I was on the global board. For one of those years, I was the chairman. And right now we have 20,000 members. So I would go around the world, and my job was to be the ambassador to the organization at the conferences and, speak to all the members. And so I did that for a while. And that aligned very well with my purpose, of what I like to do, because I believe entrepreneurship changes the world.
Yeah,
You create-
1000%.
You create jobs in communities. You raise the standard of living
Yeah.
in those communities.
It's the
So,
crazy ideas. It's the ones like you who are basically like an entrepreneur takes it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's easy to have an idea, right? But it's not easy to execute. And then have the humility or the leadership qualities that it
Right.
takes in order to assemble the right Avengers, right?
Yep.
Is that how you know Matt Stewart?
I know Matt through EO. Yeah,
Okay.
they made the mistake of having him and I be the global chairman back-to-back years, which never has happened. That you get the same person, you get a person from the same part of the country.
Okay.
It's one thing to get a global chairman from the same country.
Okay.
We were in the same city, and so we traveled for 2 years around the world, and worked with all the members, and spoke to them in basically every continent. So it was pretty fun.
Tell me about your favorite trip then, in terms of you've done so many, but when did you feel like you had the most impact in what country?
I think the most impact, I feel if I have the most impact is when I'm teaching entrepreneurs in the U.S.
Okay.
That's where I've had the most impact, I believe, because I'm working with young entrepreneurs. The most interesting trip probably was Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
because, it wasn't normal for a Westerner to just kind of pop into Saudi Arabia. And we were welcomed with the red carpet, showed up at our hotel, had a wonderful time. And I actually did teach there, which was kind of cool. So it was neat to work with entrepreneurs there. But just being absorbed in the culture and realizing that entrepreneurship is its own language. They before I went there, they were like, hey, you need to read this book called Behave Yourself, and you need to know all this. And then I got there, and I was like, it doesn't matter where all of us are from. We're all entrepreneurs. We speak the same language. And so that was a pretty unique experience.
That's so cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of those crazy, a lot of great, crazy experiences in different countries. Got lost in downtown Jeddah,
Right.
and I'm like, where are we going? And it's like, it's getting dark.
Right.
So
And yikes.
South Africa.
Carol, do you get to go on some of these?
Yes, I was very fortunate to tag along on a lot of those trips from 2008, 9, 10. And actually, yeah, South Africa was one that was pretty amazing because we were in Cape Town, and, which is, first and third world meet up against each other. And we, as a group, sponsored new homes for the mamas. And the mamas are basically, they're kids, they're orphans, and they take care of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
In their little house.
as a group, we were sponsored to rebuild some homes for them to be safe.
So would you say that's your most memorable trip out of all the
Oh,
ones?
that's always the one that comes up to my mind is
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, just the ability to go that far and be a part of the community.
So tell me a little, I'm shifting gears a lot here, I know. We'll shift back to that as well. But I just always marvel at somebody like yourself who is everywhere and like Nicole, one of the reasons why we met. So I've actually already had Nicole's mom in here. We kind of talked a little bit about her help with Veteran Strong. In case you guys don't know, Veteran Strong is a local nonprofit in Orange County that was founded by a veteran who feels that through equine therapy, you can sort of get vets off of PTSD.
Right.
So some very fascinating things, and I think in YO, is that what you call it?
YPO.
YPO,
Yeah.
sorry, in YPO, there's another gentleman who supports an organization called E. Padrini. We've had him and his wife in here, so they talk a little bit about equine therapy for
No way.
neurodivergent
yeah.
kids. So there's just so many things, and that's again one of the reasons why I do this show is because there's over 9,000 nonprofits just here in Orange County. So when we talk a little bit about your global footprint and what you're able to do, and sort of meeting everybody across the world speaking the same language of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
it's a fascinating thing that then all of a sudden it's like what Carol is saying: first world meets third world, and developing meets it's a fascinating thing. But really, when it all comes down to it, I really always like to ask, what is it about your background, Carol, that you think gives you such a giving heart?
Wow, great question. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and there's a 10-year age gap, but then there's 4 years between my next sibling. So the first 5, boom, then there was me. And so I don't know. I got a lot of attention. I think maybe I had to work for the attention. But I don't know. I never set out to like, when I started having kids and all of a sudden they go into school, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta be PTA. I was, a little nervous about PTA and kind of just jumped in. And now my kids just know that mom's there.
Yeah.
If I'm not there, then there's somebody else that's gonna be there. And I think that was a big part of it, was just being ahead of my kids and just like, I gotta be involved in this and make sure that, they're not running amok. And then it just blossomed.
I was going to say, it's such an example for them. Those three young men that I know are, also going to be just incredible in their own right? As they decide what they want to do with their lives. We're talking a little bit about our college-age kids,
that's the plan. We'll see. What makes Carol amazing is her willingness to lead. She's got natural leadership abilities, but her willingness to step up when no one else is willing to raise their hand, and make the hard choices to bring a group of people together that are volunteering and saying they'll do things, but then you actually have to lead them in a way and inspire them in a way where you can hold them accountable to the things that need to get done. And that's what Carol's great at.
Yeah.
So she did it in the family.
Oh,
so
1,000%.
Yeah, we think she had authority over the kids, but at times we didn't feel like we had any authority over the kids.
Well, before I knew it, I was all of a sudden doing something at a DJam's golf tournament. Do you think I golf well at all? No. All of a sudden I found myself there
That was
in
Nicole.
the outfit, right?
Yeah.
It's Nicole, but it was also Carol. Like we rallied together. How much did we end up raising for that library project?
Well, I think we did it 2 years in a row, so we had to have raised 30, probably 20, between 25 and 30,000 each both years.
Yeah, for just a local school to decide that we wanted to upgrade their technology in that library, for instance.
I remember that.
Yeah, so it's things like that, and then I don't know whose awesome idea it was, but we actually let the kids go into the old library and then for like graffiti for a price, or I don't even remember how we auctioned that off, but it was so cool to tear it down and then demo it, which is really cool, which is what boys want to do anyway. But that ended up being really fun because then you could, say you were a part of it or something like that. And if I remember correctly, were these right before the COVID years? Yeah.
It was the 2 years right prior to it. Yeah.
You auctioned off Printable for a day, which
yes.
is really cool. So I don't know where you would get all these clever ideas, but that's just super, super cool.
That's good.
Okay, tell me what inspires you to be so giving.
I don't know if it was inspiration or just, I was fortunate enough to have somebody ask me to be involved. And then once you get involved and you start seeing the impact you can make, and you can say, the best part of getting involved and leading is you meet great people.
Yeah.
Because there are other people that want to step up and lead. And so to me, that's the best part of it. Some of the greatest friends that we have that we travel with are people that we met when I was serving serving on various boards within EO as we were building that organization. And so now we have friends around the world. So that to me, it's really, listen, I think for people that are listening, it's very easy to say no when you're asked to join a board. And I think people overestimate the amount of work it is. Now, of course, there's boards that are more work, but generally volunteer boards are, within your capability and your time availability you have to serve.
Right.
And no one's asking you to do too much. And so I always just say, like, if you get the opportunity, raise your hand and you'll get a lot out of it.
So this is for Paul a little bit, but also for me, because no board is the same. How many board members does EO have now?
Well, EO has local boards around the world, 175 chapters.
Okay.
And then they have regional boards, and then they have the global board, which is 10.
Okay, so it's 10. And then are you nominated, chosen? Do you rotate officer spots? How does that work?
Yeah, well, for EO, you apply.
Okay.
You go through a rigorous process. And then, the board has a selection process that they go through. And then they ask you, in my case, they had approved me to be on the board, and then they asked me to be the chairman. They've boards change processes every few years. You get new leaders, to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
That's just how it is in every organization with a board, especially when they're volunteers and you're cycling through leaders.
Yes, exactly.
And if you have a big staff attached to it, like we had 100 person staff. So it's like there's a lot of moving pieces.
That's unique.
Yeah.
That's the largest staff I've ever heard of for a board. I mean,
Well,
completely
they are
wrong.
entrepreneurs, so it's like herding cats. So
Okay.
they need a lot of handlers to
So the-
guide them.
That's like a lion's heart meeting when they're 14 years
Yeah,
old.
I mean, we have
Exactly.
like I mean, right now EO's 20,000 members.
Yeah.
So they have a staff of over 100, and then they
Okay.
have global leadership around the world.
Yeah.
But that all the global leadership is volunteer.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great. It's pretty cool. That EO, YPO, they're both like that.
When were they founded? EO.
EO was 40 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, do you know like the inception story at all? Like,
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
I would
it's-
love to. Are we allowed to know?
Of course, yeah. No,
Okay.
there was a group of entrepreneurs back in the beginning that were involved in various things, and they were just like, we need to get people like us together. We need to get around other entrepreneurs so that we can share our war stories and the challenges that we have. Because like you can't like walk outside and go to your neighbor's house and talk about how you can't make payroll and you got to fire somebody. I mean, it's like there's unique challenges that entrepreneurs have, and so a few guys got together and they were like, let's start an organization, and they started it. I think the first few chapters were in Canada.
Okay.
It's not easy starting chapters from scratch. Now the organization is really good at it,
Right.
but that's how it started. And then it just started snowballing
Yeah.
and started expanding around the world, and now there's chapters everywhere.
That's huge. And then, do you and Matt still kind of serve side by side?
No, Matt and I, no. We're, our leadership is over now as far
Okay.
as serving on boards. I will get asked to do certain things because of, as the former chair, I stay in the organization, and they'll ask me to come back and interview board. Last year, they asked me to interview board candidates from around the world.
Very cool.
A few years ago, it was, can you help us hire the CEO? A couple of years before that, it was like, can you help us do strategic planning? So they trained me in so many things that like now lately as the new there, I was the global chairman 15 years ago.
Okay.
So they're like starting to forget who I was. And so as new members come in and lead the organization, they might see my name somewhere, but
But isn't that the way, though? You kind of want that a little bit. You're wanting the
course.
leadership to kind of step in. There have been times when I've had to step off a board or even kind of step aside, right? Just to say, hey, I think it's time for you to run this event. And it's not that it's tired. It's not that I am tired of the event. I love it. I love the mission. But it's time to step aside so that somebody can lead.
I don't ever step back into positions in these organizations that I've already served in because I'm like, I don't want to, like, I want to give the opportunity to somebody else because they may not know it's a great opportunity until they take it. So I don't ever go back and be like, oh, I'm going to go do it. It's like, no, if they need me to do something unique because of my experience, I'll do it. But everything else is like, like you need new leaders. You got to, it's a privilege to
I
lead.
love that.
So
I love that. Okay, so on that note, when you're interviewing, what are some of the questions you ask
when I'm interviewing for what?
for a new board member?
For a new board member.
Yeah.
I got to think back to the process we went through. For EO specifically, we'd look for experiential things. But the biggest thing we looked for was the biggest thing I looked for was, why are you doing this? Okay, because if your answer is if there's an answer that is in any way, shape, or form some sort of personal agenda, that was a no-no. So I also we'd also screen for how busy are you? Like you have a family, is your wife on board with this? Or is your wife on board on this? And how old are your kids? And can you really get away? Because you're going to be away from your family for 6 weeks or more.
Right.
And so we screened pretty thoroughly for that. But again, the people that apply for the board, there's already been a vetting process. So they had to jump through hoops to serve at certain levels.
Yeah.
And then when they get to this level, it's probably less about character, more about competency and the ability to do the job and commit the time necessary.
Yeah.
So.
And for the 10 people, do you look for a variety of skill sets that you want to have, different skill sets, or is it all?
In certain spots, yes.
Okay.
When it comes to governance or finance, you obviously, it's best to have a little bit, especially finance, have a little bit of a background. But otherwise, we're just looking for, and this is always a tough topic when you're dealing with global boards, because you can get really caught up with diversity. And diversity is important, especially for the opinions of the room. But you've got to choose the best candidates.
Yeah.
And so it's a delicate balance between, geographic or ethnic diversity and then the best capable people. I've watched organizations put people on boards just because they were from certain countries and they got caught up in the fact that, oh, we're bringing somebody on from this country. We've never done this, and that's a blah, blah, blah country and it's this religion, and sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't because you have to choose the right person for the job.
I agree with that.
And you got to balance all the factors. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I
could
do
be
ag-
controversial, but you're trying to run an organization.
No, but that's
Okay.
what leadership is.
That's what leadership is.
Yeah.
You got to make those tough calls.
It's
so
the hard things. So then we'll go back to Carol a little bit because it's not as though, again, there's always the great people that
because
make
she's serving
things
on,
work.
she's leading, she's on 3 boards.
3 boards, right? So
And
that's
she's-
what I'm
yeah.
saying. In terms of Carol's capacity for leadership, it's always a silent, quiet leadership by example. And I watched it in action. I recently went to the tasting, which is where we ran into each other. And of course, Carol's there, like running the whole thing. Like all of a sudden I get a basket and there's Carol. Like, this is your basket? Yes, it's my basket.
Yeah.
Right,
Where'd you
but-
come from? I know. Same thing happened to me. I'm like, aren't we leaving? No, I'm over here working on
No,
this thing.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this now. But tell me about your ideal board member, not like somebody you like serving alongside of.
Oh, when I joined the board for the football program, I wasn't president after, I was involved, but then 2 years later, I got to be president. And my predecessors really had done such a great job of curating the positions, and especially it was post-COVID, so we were kind of starting from scratch. Like, how are we doing things again? And I was like, my former president was like, how's it going? I'm like, everyone's doing their job and doing it. And that's the most important. That's what I get. I love is like, they know their job and they're doing it. And I don't have to micromanage. I don't have to check in. They have the passion for whatever that job is, and they are taking care of it.
Yeah, there's an element of trust, right?
Yeah.
I think that's also part of
No,
leadership quality.
Especially in my capacities as PTA and football and HOA, all that.
I don't mean to make you choose, but right now, what is your favorite one to serve on?
Oh gosh, yeah, I mean it's football, even though it's kills me because it's just football, and it's year round. I mean, I get a little break at Christmas time. I mean, there's little pauses, but for the most part, it's year round.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the parents that I work with, our coach, and then just getting to know the kids and seeing them as freshmen, and then now we've got the graduating seniors. It's like
So cool.
it's so cool to
watching
see them
develop.
grow and
Yeah.
develop and just be part of the team.
Totally. And then the program at ANHS, which I love so much, is that it's beyond that. The fact that I love it, Coach Hensley's on there too. And they're so invested in not just the young men that they are on the field, but off the field
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
So I love that too. We're winding down. There's only a few minutes. I know you guys can't believe it, but we only have 5 minutes left. So I usually like to close and ask, what are your closing thoughts for the audience? Like, if somebody wants to get involved or still give to some of the programs that you're in, what do you suggest they do?
Show up. Just show up to the meeting, and don't just give it one meeting. Give it a couple. Give it a chance, and really
I love
figure
it.
out where you can fit in, because not everybody has to be that front person. There's a lot of jobs that are kind of behind the scenes, or you don't necessarily have to be lead another team for. So I think just showing up. That's how it was when I was in kindergarten, and I talked to my mom in the library, and I'm like, who's taking your job? And she's like, you want it? And I'm like, well, what does that mean? So I showed up, and then I'm like, okay, the library's a good place because books don't talk back. It's a
Right.
good place to start. And then
Nice.
of course it blossomed into everything else because I enjoy watching the kids grow up. So showing up.
Okay,
Just
cool.
show
And
up.
if they want to give to football boosters, you can give year round. Is it anhs.org?
AlisoNiguelFootball.com.
Okay, AlisoNiguelFootball.com audience. You got that? Okay,
Yes.
Mike,
Like that.
closing thoughts, please.
Well, but you brought. I'll give you my closing thought in 1 second, but you made me think of something that, the current company that Carol and I own called MAP Consulting.
Yeah.
We bought it. We were a client for 15 years. They helped us build our last company, and now we bought that company. We help
So
entrepreneurs
rad.
around the country.
Okay.
But I hadn't thought about this before I walked in, but we started a nonprofit arm 4 years ago. We had a philanthropist call us that was a former client.
Okay.
And he was like, I give all this money to nonprofits, and I would like to funnel some of it to you to go in and train their executive teams. And so we built a program where we would go into a nonprofit for 2 full days and, teach them about how to build high performance teams, how to really be great managers and leaders. We put accountability in place, and then we came back once a month and worked with them on making sure that they were getting the right things done in their business and driving the right numbers. And we've done it now, I think, in almost 40 nonprofits to like crazy
incredible.
success. So
Okay.
if there's any listeners out there and they're running a nonprofit, we do have a program that's been pretty unbelievable. And you can see us at mapconsulting.com. You can reach me there.
Okay. That's phenomenal.
My closing advice is for people that are going to be on a board is you get out of it what you put into it. So, if you're going to just show up and be miserable that you're there, that's how the experience is going to be. But if you lean in, carry your own bag, and really embrace it, you're going to get a lot more out of that experience, and you're going to learn how to do things and lead in the community and lead in your own family, because you're trying to work with people you don't have authority over.
Right.
And you're trying to inspire them to get the right things done.
Yeah.
And so if you can do that and really learn, I mean, just think what you can do when you actually have authority in your job or your house.
Well, you lose authority pretty quickly, right at 18. And with a 23-year-old and a 19-year-old now, all of a sudden I'm like, wow, yelling doesn't work anymore. So
No, it's
not that it ever did.
Yeah.
I tell volunteer leaders this all the time. When once in a while I'll get asked to come in and like say there's a new crop of leaders, and they're like, can you come, talk to them for a few minutes, give them a few things. And one of the lessons I teach them, I say, listen, when you lead in an organization, you have authority. But when you in a volunteer organization, but when you use that authority, you lose that authority. Which means that you're going to try to use your authority on a bunch of volunteers. No, you have to use your inspirational skills.
1,000%.
And it's the same thing, I think, now that I think about it, now that we have adult children, it's like we used our authority all the time when they were under 18.
Yeah.
Well, now that they're becoming adults, like our authority is not going to work, and they're going to rebel if we try to be, push too much authority. So it's now about inspiring them and negotiating with them in a way that they make it their own idea.
Yes.
So
Totally. And I say to adults all the time who have adult children that the greatest gift is when they want to hang out with you.
yeah.
Right. And I just think that's just sort of the best thing. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely.
It's my
Thank you.
absolute pleasure to have you both in. And we listed all the ways you can get in touch. You can get in touch with Paul here. So have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. More reasons to tune in each and every time for more board talk. Less talk, more walk, spotlighting boards, particularly nonprofit boards that lead by example. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.